Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us today for Inside Customer Success at LinkedIn, the webinar. We're extremely honored and excited to have Perry Monaco, who's the Manager of Customer Success for the Americas at LinkedIn. We're really excited to have him here with us today. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. Feel free to join the conversation online with the hashtag InsideCS. Feel free to mention us. We'll be sending the recording at the end, so not to worry about that. And we'll have lots of time for Q&A. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Perry Monaco and Paul Philp.
Perry, thank you very much for coming out today. This is a great event. We're really excited to have you. And maybe you can kick us off by telling us a little bit about your role at LinkedIn and what are your responsibilities?
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Fantastic space. I know you can't see that when you're on the phone, but it is definitely a fantastic space here in Toronto. So I manage 3 different teams of customer success at LinkedIn. My home base is Toronto, so our team here in Canada consists of 6 customer success managers. I then also manage our Latin American team, which I've just recently added a new individual. First day is today, so now we also have 6 customer success managers down in Latin America. And then I have a team of 2 customer success managers that have a very niche responsibility. They work with our account executive team, so our team that generates new business within Talent Solutions for LinkedIn, and their responsibility is to work pre-sales with our customers who have engaged with us on a pilot basis. Paid pilots, we sprinkle in some customer success love to those customers to help convert some of our bigger deals.
Awesome, that's great. Big geography.
It is. Well, I tell my folks who don't really know what I do, I tell them that my territory is North Pole to South Pole.
North Pole to South Pole.
It's pretty impressive, but it's probably a lot more impressive the way I describe it than it really is.
And you can have fun every season.
That's right. I'm going to Brazil in a couple of weeks, so I'll be enjoying what the fall is like in Brazil in a couple of weeks.
Great. So across all of those territories and responsibilities, how many customers do you manage?
It's surprisingly, it's probably equally split between the 2 different main regions, being Canada and LATAM. So we're looking at about 3,000 to 3,500 customers across those 2 different geographies. Obviously, significant growth opportunity for us in LATAM compared to where we are right now.
Great. And just to kick things off with a small question, how did you shift from reactive customer success to proactive? What were your strategies there?
That's a loaded question.
So if you could just do that in 15 seconds.
Of course. Sure. I think we're probably still, we know where we want to go in terms of being proactive versus being reactive. We're not entirely there yet, but we've made significant strides over the course of the last number of months. And I think really it's making sure that not only do we as a customer success team understand what our true north is, but also making sure that our sales partners understand it. We've become better at articulating that, having a very, very clear vision as to what customer success means for us. And it's nothing more difficult than making sure that they understand that everything that we strive to do reduces churn, increases our customer NPS scores, identifies growth opportunities for our sales partners, and also we act as voice of customer. So those 4 things, doubling down as much as possible on the first 2, make it a little bit easier for us to be more proactive. When we come in with strategic objectives with our sales partners that always point in those directions, we have the ability to be a lot more proactive.
Awesome. And I think a key point I'd like to reinforce there is that the journey to proactivity is a journey.
Yes.
And, at Amity, we've probably talked to 1,000 SaaS companies whose goal is to get to proactivity. And we've seen a lot of progress, but it really is the holy grail, and it takes time and iteration to get there.
Absolutely. You have to wonder if anyone can ever actually get there, because it probably then when you get there, you probably realize that there's another place that you can go to become even more proactive.
Right. It's like you can never get to east. There's always further east to go.
That's right. That's right.
Great. Okay, so this webinar is really the most effective when it's interactive with with the audience, and so we'd like to encourage you to ask questions. So if you take a look at the bottom of your Ready Talk widget, you'll see that there's a chat window there. If you have a question at any time, then put it into that chat window, and we'll collect those up for the Q&A at the end, and we'll try to get as many of your questions answered as we can. Yeah. Okay. So we have our first question from the audience. Perry, what was your biggest aha moment as customer success began to get adopted across LinkedIn?
You know, this is, I was interviewing a candidate, and it's funny, we were implementing customer success was relatively new, the concept as clear as it is now, and trying to interview to hire a customer success manager. So it was slightly difficult. And one of my go-to questions, obviously, as I'm sure everyone has this one, is what is your definition of customer success? And this particular individual defined it for me in a way that I will never forget, and defined it in a way for me that is just so accurate. So I asked him, what does customer success mean to you? And he told me that he's on Team Beyonce, and stopped. And I said, I have no idea. And he was also Brazilian, so he was doing it heavily accented. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And so he then smiled and said, okay, well, let me explain it to you. So this was his explanation. When I was 19, I would go to the bar, and my only objective was to try and find someone that would go home with me. But I want to be like Beyonce and put a ring on it.
No.
And so my goal, or my definition of customer success, is establishing the long-term relationship, finding out what the long-term, finding someone who has the same long-term goals as I do, so that we can have a long-term relationship as opposed to just worrying about what happens today. And I was like, all right.
Great metaphor.
When do you want to start?
Great metaphor. Of course, then it's your job to keep the lemonade.
That's right. That's right.
To a minimum. Again, we can get a little off track there. One question that I've always had is, I think that LinkedIn is well known as one of the most data-driven companies in the world, and you've got a huge amount of data that you know about customers and about your users, and a great big data science team. What's the most important data that all that infrastructure provides you?
You know what's interesting is that there is certainly a lot of data. It's a matter of presenting the data in a way that is digestible and in a way in which it means something. And so what we look to do is try to take the data, but also look at the data over time to see trends and try and use the data to help guide us in the direction that our customers are going. For instance, 5 years ago when I started at LinkedIn, my role was significantly different. It wasn't even called customer success at the time. That was certainly our goal. But what the job entailed then is significantly different than what the job entailed now. And a lot of that is because of what customers told us, both verbally but also through the data. They became more evolved. They expected more from us. They demanded more of the product and from the teams that help them engage with the different products. I work on the talent solutions side of things at LinkedIn. So the data has really helped guide us in a direction where our customers wanted us to go in terms of utilization and development of the product.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little? No, you've already answered that question. What do you count on from your team? What are their accountabilities, and what KPIs do you use to measure their effectiveness and their performance?
So There's some things that are really easy to define in terms of, jumping to how they're compensated is probably the best way to define what it is they ultimately want to do day to day, and that is reduce churn. So every one of the customer success managers has a retention target. They're mapped directly to a particular set of relationship managers that are defined by the type of account that those relationship managers manage. And a retention target is given to that particular segment based on a running review of what history tells us about customers in that particular segment. And that's the retention target that they're measured to. So they're on an 80-20 compensation plan, and that variable component is defined solely by how well they can get that retention number to that target or overachieve. But certainly that's not the only thing that we look at. We don't just look at that retention target number. We look at customer outreach. So the number of times that a customer success manager is required to talk to our customers in a conversation that isn't a sales related conversation. We also apply similar type of metrics to our sales team as well. So we certainly look at that as well. We look at the amount of opportunities that a customer success manager brings into the relationship manager's book of business. So what's the value of your leads that you're bringing in, but then also what does that convert into in terms of real sales? So there's a number of different things that we look at in terms of overall KPIs for that CSM.
Great. And you mentioned that, I just want to highlight it. LinkedIn is organized by in product divisions?
Correct. Yeah. There's 5 major product divisions. The 6th would be what everyone is familiar with, which would be our premium membership.
Right.
But when you look at the 5 lines of business, we have Elevate, which is relatively new, Lynda.com, which is an organization that we purchased last year. Then we move into the more traditional lines of business, which would be sales solutions, marketing solutions, and then talent solutions, which is the largest business unit, and that's the unit that is designed to work with and partner with our talent acquisition partners to help them find talent in ways that they haven't been able to find them before.
Great. Perfect. And how does your management up to the CEO relate to customer success? Is it strategic at LinkedIn? What's the overall LinkedIn strategy for customer success?
Customer success is extremely important at LinkedIn, and it's something that we hear about from all levels of managers, which is great being in the organization that I'm in. Obviously, when our most senior sales executive can talk about customer success and customer experience when they're speaking to the entire organization, it's really positive and reaffirming when you're coming into the office day after day to help grow the business like we are. So customer success is part and parcel of everything that we do at LinkedIn. It's not just about customer success managers executing. It's also about all of the sales team incorporating customer success philosophies and strategies into their day-to-day as well.
Great.
And then for me, that's really the only way that you can be successful as a customer success organization. What we do and how we talk shouldn't be all that different than what the sales team is bringing to the customer on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I think of it sometimes that the customer success organization is the quarterback of customer success, but if everyone else isn't playing on the same team, it's hard to, there's no one to catch the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Absolutely right. For sure.
That's great. Okay. Another question from our audience, and I encourage people to keep throwing out your questions as we go along, and we'll do our best to answer them all. What is the must-have skill you look for when hiring a new CSM?
That's a really good question. I mean, the standard management answer, I think, would be, well, I would want to hire somebody who doesn't have, who has the skill set that my team is lacking or where there's a gap, or somebody who I'm trying to hire that could be my replacement. Right. I think any smart manager would want to do that. P.S. I am hiring right now. But I think really I would want someone who can come to the table and tell me their Beyonce story.
Right.
Tell me that they truly understand what customer success is, that it's not training, it's not, a customer support, it's not customer experience, that they actually have a definition of customer success that they can articulate and then demonstrate to me when they've been able to execute that in the past. That to me is, because sometimes customer success can be this catch-all, or it can be this sexy thing that's out there now that people think they understand, but they're not super clear on it. It's not going to weed everybody out who doesn't understand it, because you can certainly do your research, but you'd be surprised how many people don't really have a good definition of what customer success is.
Great, good. And what the opposite of that question? What kind of attributes of a candidate, even if they're smart and personable, disqualify them from being a customer success person?
Yeah, I think if you have, you certainly have to have a sales flair. You may not have had to have been a salesperson in the past, but have that flair to understand, how to do a good discovery or how to uncover opportunities when you're speaking with someone. But there's a different type of salesperson that you need to be. If you're a hunter, if you're constantly trying to hunt and bring down that big deal, you're probably not, in the right position to move into customer success. But if you are a farmer, when you relate to sales, where the concept of sales, or you've been in sales where you're developing a relationship with a customer so that can lead to a greater sale down the road, that would be the type of thing that I would look for. So if you've got that hunter mentality, regardless of whether or not you actually had a number at some point in time, would probably be something that I wouldn't consider.
So your mantra might be always be farming.
Always be farming.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll see if we can get a remake of that movie done. Okay. So next question. How did customer success redefine their relationship with sales?
So that's something that we did at the beginning of this year, and we're still working on right now. And I think, again, it's making it very clear as to what we're doing, but also why we're doing it. I think sales really starts to turn the corner or understand what customer success is and what we're trying to achieve when they understand the why. And making it very crystal clear that ultimately we have those two main goals, and that is to create raving fans out of our customers, make them successful personally and professionally by reducing churn and increasing customer NPS. When we make it very clear like that, then I think our relationship with sales increasingly becomes more positive, and eliminate the opportunity we have to say no to our sales team. In being a positive change agent means that you rarely say no, and that you convert that no into a yes but. Right. And so that's what our team has tried to do more often than not, is to say yes but to our sales partners, and that has been able to help redefine what it is that we do. Yes, I'll do something that I used to do, but I don't think we should do it anymore for this reason. Here's why, and so this is what I'm going to do with the customer. I'm going to do this action, but I'm also going to redirect them in terms of what they should do next time they have this similar type of ask.
Great. Good. Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it. And what's customer success relationship like with the product team?
It's great. It has to be great in order for our product to be customer success friendly, right? In order for us to get to the point where our product can be intuitive enough to tell our customers that they should be doing something if they're not doing it already, or if they're doing too much of something that requires too many mouse clicks, our product should be able to tell them that they can do it in a quicker way. So we have a great relationship with our product team. We have specifically designated liaisons on our team all around the world that work directly with our product and product marketing teams. And because we are the voice of customer, we have direct access to the enhancements that our product team is working on, so that we can make sure that the product not only becomes more intuitive for our customers and easier for our customers, but also has that customer success baked into it as well.
You've talked a lot about how important NPS scores are for you. Does the product team share any ownership over the NPS scores, or is that just the customer success team?
No, it's definitely it's something that our senior sales leader talks about. They talk about NPS scores. It's something that resonates across the entire organization. And so when we look at NPS, it's NPS not only in terms of your relationship with LinkedIn, but what is the NPS of the different products that you engage with. So it's something that both sales, customer success, and product and marketing are certainly very, very focused on. And it's something that we're becoming better at doing in a systematic way as well.
Great, good. Okay, another question from our audience is, has customer success ever been a dump hall for unowned tasks and customer needs? If so, how did you get away from that habit?
I think that's pretty common in a lot of organizations, right, especially as you move through that startup phase. And I think it's funny to suggest that LinkedIn might be a startup, but we certainly have that startup mentality. A lot of that internally anyway, of course. And so, yeah, there was a time and there's still times where, a customer success manager individually may feel as though they're getting dumped on some certain amount of tasks, but we've really enabled the team to evaluate, take a step back before they say yes. We don't want to be a no culture, but at the same time, we want to make sure that everyone around us feels successful as well. So we've tried to be very crystal clear in terms of what it is our playbook looks like. And so we actually produced a playbook that we then distributed to all of our sales team so that they understood what it is that our roles and responsibilities were, what their roles and responsibilities were. Looks great on paper. Obviously, then our team has to go and execute that, and that's obviously the hard part. But we tried to sit down and be very, very clear in terms of what customer success looks like and what those roles look like, and to avoid and to then empower the other teams that we engage with to do their jobs too. Right. Our enterprise services team, they're really good at what they do. There's no reason why we should also do the same thing that they do.
Great. And a related question: what do you think your customers' relationship to customer success is? How do they view customer success?
I think our customers really enjoy the relationship they have with us. Now it's becoming increasingly better month over month, because there's also a clear delineation now in terms of who they should talk to, when, and about what, because we now communicate not only internally but externally what our true mission is, right? It was very easy in the past for customers to also dump things on a customer success manager. As one myself, I was one for over 3 years at LinkedIn. And it became very easy to want to say yes, to want to please the customer and take everything on. And so we've been able to clearly articulate to our customer what we're here for. And again, that's very simple. It's, what does success look like for you in a year? Thank you. Let's build a plan now to get you to that point, right? And I oversimplify it there, because a lot of times you'll ask what a customer thinks success looks like, and they'll give you what they think you want to hear.
Right.
And so we're getting better and better at digging deeper, not taking no or their first answer to heart.
Why is that important?
Correct. And really digging deep, asking the why.
Right.
Exactly. Asking the why, digging deeper with our customers, and then documenting that too. That's a painful procedure that we've gone through over the last number of months. But we've been able now to, at least in Canada, we've been able to reach out to every single one of our customers and document in our CRM exactly what success looks like to those customers, and now we can enable those plans moving forward. Every conversation that we now have with a Canadian customer, we are always going to refer back to that plan. And if that plan isn't being executed the way that we agreed to, let's find out why. If it needs to be changed, then let's change it. But that's the anchor for us here in Canada specifically, is to, now that we have this baseline foundation of what customers feel success looks like for them, everything we do relates back to that plan. Not every customer is created equally, but we don't know what the differences are unless we ask. And so we've done that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And can you talk a little bit about the tooling that you use
Sure.
to execute all that?
Yeah, we use Salesforce internally. Our sales team obviously uses that as well. So we use a little bit of a hybrid version in terms of adapting Salesforce to be our customer success platform. And then our data comes from Tableau. So we have different dashboards set up in Tableau to help us define what account health looks like, and to take all of that data that you talked about earlier and present it in a way that makes sense to us, our sales partners, and our customers.
Great. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about the future. So customer success is, still a brand new discipline. You can't go to Harvard and get an MBA with a minor in customer success, but you can in marketing, you can in sales and sales management. So we're all still trying to figure this out. Where do you think customer success is headed over the next 2, 5, 10 years?
I think we'll probably see a number of other organizations continue to develop and refine new platforms, as well as existing organizations like yourselves continue to improve upon their platforms. And then, similar like we've seen in other organizations, we'll probably see some consolidation happen towards the latter part of that time frame that you gave me. But I suspect that there's probably a bunch more development that will happen. I think customer success is going to become a lot better at defining what account health looks like, and really understanding, creating data that actually defines account health as opposed to leads us in the direction of account health. Right now, one of the things that I stress to our team is that the data tells us a story, yes, but it doesn't always tell you the complete picture, right? You don't have the entire book. The data may tell you that there are churn risks, but in reality, you know that they're not because you've talked to them.
Right.
And vice versa. The data may tell us that they're an amazing customer,
right,
but you should talk to them as well, just as much as you would to a churn risk customer, and find out if that really is the case. So I think the discipline, I like that word, of customer success is going to become more clear in terms of being able to define health of our customers, and then being able to really define to our sales partners, but also to our customers, what the fix will be for converting a red into a green customer.
Right.
Right? Like, I think right now I know we are experimenting with a lot of different things. Do webinars work? Do videos work? Do tip sheets work? Do on-site visits work? What is it that works to
right.
help turn the corner with our customers when they're showing signs of churn? We'll have more data as we go along to be able to say this actually does work. It doesn't just feel like it works, but we know it works,
right,
because the data tells us. Versus maybe what some other organizations are doing, or what we did in the past, where it felt good.
Right.
Right. It felt good for me to come into the office, put on my headset, and do 11 hours straight of how to use LinkedIn.
Right.
But was that really a good use of my time?
Right.
And did it actually impact our customers in a positive way?
Right.
Made me feel good because I got kudos at the end of every hour call.
Right.
But I'm also going 11 hours without ever finding time to have lunch or take a break.
Right. Yeah. So we're starting to feel that it's closing the loop.
Right.
So we tried this tactic, in this situation, and did that move the needle? Did that produce a result or a negative result?
Right.
Yeah. And I love your point about defining health scores. I definitely feel like as far as health scores go, we're in kindergarten right now, and we have a customer who just implemented using Amity. They went away from a 1 health score. They have 4 health scores for every account, but they don't even use the health score. They use the benchmark index of the health score for the customer.
Right.
So, it's a problem when they're in the bottom third of that health score.
Right.
And I thought, well, that seems obvious now that you've figured that out.
Right.
And so, yeah, we're just, I think as an industry, we're just all figuring that out.
I think we'll also probably get to a point where we're segmenting our customers the way in which the customer success or health scores define it, as opposed to the way in which the business thinks it should be defined. Because right now it's traditional, right? It's based on either how much a customer spends. We put all those customers in one grouping,
Right.
or what industry you're in, or what geography those customers are in. But maybe it makes more sense for us to evolve that and think about, hey, these groups of customers should be working with this type of person because of the type of customer they are in terms of their usage or lack of use, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So that's something that I think some companies will start to experiment with.
Yeah, we coach our customers on things like segmentation. Does it help you make a better decision, and does it help you take a more effective action?
Right.
If not, then it's probably not a good metric for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great. Okay. Now we're gonna move to some audience questions, and the first one from the audience is: what metrics do you use to measure customer health?
So simple things like usage in terms of, I think the most basic one for us when you think about a platform that a customer logs into is, are they logging into the product or the platform every day?
Right.
So that would be one of the baseline metrics. But again, that doesn't always define health. Because if you're not active in the talent acquisition space right now, or talent acquisition isn't 100% of your day to day, then logins aren't going to be as high as we would maybe want them to be or expect them to be. So that would be sort of, the basic metric. And then there's a couple of other ones that are related to usage. Where we're moving to, we have some metrics here, but I think where we need to go as well and get better at this is when we start looking at efficiency metrics. So when you log in, are you doing things efficiently that are generating results in a quicker and timely fashion? Are you using some of the time-saving tools or tools that eliminate numerous mouse clicks? So we have some of those right now, but looking to those things more and more. And then obviously from some of the other products that we have in terms of engagement with our members, that would be some of the other things that would relate to health scores as well.
Great. Thank you. And why did you choose customer success versus client success? I see them both out there in the industry. Any thoughts on what a newly developed team should use?
If I were to create my own customer success organization right now, I think I would probably go between customer success, just because it seems to be the nomenclature in the industry, and so you don't want to try and reinvent the wheel. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why customer success was chosen. But I would probably choose partner success as well. I encourage my team not to call customers to their face, or even clients for that matter. I like to think of all of our paying customers as partners.
Right.
And because that then indicates and illustrates to our customers that they are partners in our business, and that in order to get to the success point that they're looking for, we need to also be successful with them. And so that success is shared. So I would love to call it partner success, but customer success just seems to be the more common term, I think.
Great, love that. Great. What advice do you have for a new customer success manager at a smaller organization, like a startup? How do you determine priorities when there is so much green space for improvement?
Yeah, I think you have a real amazing opportunity if you are in a startup or brand new to create a framework by which we can operate. But at the same time, you don't want to get bogged down in process and rules and engagement and all that kind of stuff. I think they're important. I think one of the first things I would do would be to find a meetup in your area and engage with other individuals who are in the industry. I can tell you from personal experience, I've attended a couple of the customer success meetups that Amity puts on, and one of the most rewarding parts about those meetups was to listen to somebody else talk about their customer success strategy, and hearing that it validated what we were trying to do and what we are doing. It gave us some learning opportunities, but also was just like, hey, yeah, we're not the only ones that have this struggle, or yeah, they're doing it too, so are we. This is awesome. Like, we're on the right path. We're doing it. And for the members of my team, for a lot of cases, it was a great validation for them in terms of what they were trying to achieve. So I would say to try not to reinvent anything, frankly, and learn from what other companies have already done, and reach out to other people in the industry wherever it is that you happen to be. If you're in Toronto, or even if you're not, you can certainly reach out to me directly. But I think for me, it would be making sure that your sales team understands what it is you're trying to achieve. Make that goal really, really simplistic, but then you have to socialize that internally. And sometimes customer success organizations, especially ones that are new, don't have that clear vision. So define it, but don't feel like you have to create it on your own.
Great. Okay. Would love to hear more about training of new CS managers, CS customer success managers. How do you structure training, and how long until you expect them to be fully ramped up?
Great question, especially since I have someone new starting today. In Brazil, mind you, so it's a little bit different or a little bit more difficult for me to do it personally. But we have a pretty awesome onboarding plan at LinkedIn, where every single new hire goes to our a new hire boot camp, which is now in New York City, and they go there for a week, and that usually happens within their first month. But realistically, it's making sure that I would like someone to do two things by the end of their first month. One is really understand what customer success means to us here at LinkedIn, but also understand what it means to be a LinkedIn employee. There's two things here, right? We're part of the customer success organization, but we're also part of LinkedIn. And so a lot of that is watching videos, reading, doing a lot of the onboarding that we have, which is nicely structured through a web portal that we have. But also, there's no reason why they can't immediately be jumping on calls with both our sales partners and other customer success managers. That, for me, is the easiest way to learn, is to hear someone's talk track, hear how they engage with their customers, and make it part of their, I generally meet with a new hire, if not every day, every other day, personally. And then make sure that they are actually shadowing these calls. Make sure that they are engaged with both teams, our team and the sales team, so that they can really start to absorb and figure out what their style is going to be. It's the talk track that can be the most difficult to come up with. So hearing other examples and then adopting that to their own style, then they're ready to go at that point.
Good. Okay. Lots of questions here. Thanks for everyone in the audience for your questions. Keep them coming. How often do you suggest your customer success managers reach out to your clients? Monthly, quarterly, weekly, and how do you prioritize that?
So it's going to be different for different segments, because it does. The amount of customers you have is going to, ultimately define how often you can do this. But there is a requirement for our largest mapping, so to speak. Two of my CSMs have 400 customers. There's no way that they could reach every customer every month. Their bare minimum requirement is that they have to talk to every single one of those customers at least once every 6 months. Their relationship managers, the sales partners, they carry 100 accounts, and their requirement is that they have to talk to the customer at least once a month in a non-sales related activity. So put those two things together, that's what that segment looks like. You look on the opposite end of the spectrum, where my customer success manager, working with our largest of the large customers in Canada, she has about 50 customers. She's required to talk to every customer every month as well, because there is the ability for her to be able to do that. And then that varies in between. And tracking is very easy. Every customer engagement, every customer outreach that you have to log, and then we have reports that we look at every single week in our one-on-ones to make sure that they're on track to meet that goal.
Great. Okay. How would you describe a perfect relationship and workflow between sales, renewal, and customer success teams?
So we don't have a separate renewal team. We have the sales organization also handles the renewals in the sense that they actually own the renewal. Obviously, our customer success managers play a big part in the renewal of a customer. Obviously, that's one of our raison d'etre. The best relationship is when everyone understands what their space is with our customer. When a relationship manager understands when a CSM can go and talk to a customer without having to ask for permission, so to speak. It's also when the customer success manager understands the customer just as well as the relationship manager. They have equal access to the customer. I like to remind my team, but also my sales partners, that we don't own customers. We don't own the account. The relationship manager doesn't own the account. LinkedIn owns the account.
Right.
It's a LinkedIn account.
Right.
And we're here to enable success of that account. And so when you get past the ownership issue and you have clearly defined playbooks for each of the different roles, it works really, really well. But also trust plays a big factor in that too, right? And trust only comes with experience, working with that person and making sure that you understand that person isn't there to sabotage anything or isn't, you trust their skill set. And so it's a little bit of a work in progress. It's practice. But the relationship works best when they both understand each other's goals. It's almost like they should sit down and do a success plan with one another.
Oh, that's great.
Tell me, and we get our teams to do this. Tell me what success looks like for you, salesperson, in 12 months. Right. And they do the same thing back. And then everything that you do hopefully revolves around that plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any tips for how to best leverage strong customer goodwill to influence company growth?
So we like to highlight some of our customers in customer success stories, testimonials, but we also invite our customers to participate in the evaluation of our product over time as well. So we have different advocacy councils, I guess you can call them, or customer councils, or however you want to call it. But we invite our customers that have great relationships with us. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it doesn't mean that they're not critical of the product. But we have that level of trust with the customer where they feel part of the development of the product and the company, and they really do value that. We have customer appreciation events and things like that as well. And we'll highlight, like I said, customer success stories. But it's getting them involved with your organization beyond just being a paid customer. I think that where companies really feel valuable. We also have a program called Success Delivered, or hashtag Success Delivered, where we will celebrate the success of one of our customers if they've had success in their professional role, where we may or may not have had influence. So if they get promoted, we'll send them a cake. We'll say congratulations. We'll send them a card, send them a gift card saying, hey, congratulations, Jill, on your new role. Fantastic to be part of the journey, however little we may have had a part of it. It was really great to see you move on in your organization. So things like that that take it outside of the relationship of, hey, how can we get you to buy more stuff?
Right. Great. What is the ideal number of accounts for a customer success manager to be successful?
That's a great question, because I think that if you can figure that out, you've cracked
the other holy grail.
Yeah, you've cracked a nugget there. I think it depends on a number of different things: how big the customers are, how complex the customers are, how much they're spending. What that magic number is, I don't know. It probably also depends on industry size or the type of industry that your customer is in. All sorts of different variables. That's a tough one to figure out. But I think where maybe you can make a mistake is where you set sort of this is what mapping looks like, and then you're not flexible enough to be able to change once you recognize that it's not working.
Right. Yeah. It's a hard question.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. What metrics do you use to articulate the value of customer success to your C-level team when they're reviewing your current year's progress and your next year's goals?
Yeah, so a couple of things that a lot of the KPIs are similar for that as well as for our individuals. So we talk about the number of customers that we talk to. We talk about the difference of engagement levels with our customers when they renew. So when they've engaged with a customer success manager in X way, they generally renew for this much, this much X above their original renewal versus customers who didn't engage with a customer success manager for whatever reason, because we're not mapped to every customer, or the level of engagement they got from us because this is how we've defined it, they only renewed this much. We look at the number of touch points a customer success manager has had with particular customers over time. So things like that, how much churn we were able to save, what our goal is to our retention targets, things like that.
Great. Good. Okay. What would you recommend phase 2 be once you establish the customer success team, defined to the sales role, and started to partner effectively? What initiatives and processes evolved in your phase 2?
So we became more strategic in phase 2 in terms of, okay, now that we know every single one of our customers' goals, we know why or what 12 months looks like from here on out, or what the renewal should look like for them. Then it's about enabling that. Then it's like, okay, we have this vision of where you want to go. We've given you a plan to get there. Now let's hold your feet to the fire, right? Let's hold you to account just the same way that you would hold us to account. Let's make sure that we have consistent check-ins with you to ensure that you're actually doing what it is that we said that you would do, or that you agreed to do. It's an agreement. Like that success plan, or that conversation we had with you when we talked about where you want to be in a month, that really is a verbal agreement that you're going to do X, we're going to do Y, and that's going to result in Z, which is success. And so the enablement phase is getting to the point where we can have the relationships with our customers where we can call them out. Right? It's an opportunity for us, and they can also have the opportunity to call us out too. If maybe there's times where we didn't uphold our end of the bargain.
Right.
But that for us is we're knee deep in that right now. But how you do that, the strategy, what that looks like in terms of tech touch, low touch, and high touch, that's the strategy that allows you to execute that at scale. Right. And so, for smaller organizations, you can get away with doing all high touch. We can't afford to do that. It's just not something that we can actually do. And by afford, I mean via time, not dollars.
Right.
We just don't have the capacity to be able to have high touch with every single one of our customers. And so phase 2 is about enablement, but that enablement has to be a combination of low touch, tech touch, and high touch. Who goes in what bucket? That's where we have to. That's the definition of how we're going to then execute it.
So you have 3 levels of touch.
Three levels of touch within each of the different segments. It could theoretically look different in each of them.
Oh, okay. So high touch in one segment may look different than high touch in another segment.
Correct.
That's all. That's interesting.
Yeah, because we can't. Because we have high touch with a customer who's spending, $30 million versus high touch with a customer who's spending $30,000.
Right.
That's the expectations of what that meeting looks like is going to be significantly different.
Right, because you sell to recruiters, you sell to enterprises,
correct,
and high touch for these firms, obviously.
Right. So like a local organization who's hiring 5 people a year versus an organization who's hiring 500 people a year.
Right.
That interaction with us is going to be different. Right. And so we have to define what that looks like. Where we get buy-in from our sales team is when we can clearly articulate what that different type of touch looks like. When we can define, okay, in this segment, you can expect your customer to get this level of high touch. This is what it looks like. That's where you also get buy-in from your sales team.
That's great. Okay, we've got lots more questions. I really appreciate the audience giving us all these questions. We'll try to get to as many as we can. I want to take a moment here just to introduce everyone who's on the call today to Amity. Just let you know who Amity is. We're the sponsor of the webinar today. And Amity is a customer success automation platform. We've interviewed, worked with, and talked to over 1,000 customer success teams, and I think Perry really reemphasizes today that proactivity is the holy grail of customer success, but it turns out to be pretty difficult.
It can be, for sure.
We're not going to be proactive, and it's an ongoing journey. And so realizing that proactivity is really a challenge and an ongoing journey, Amity's strategy is to partner with our customers to implement strategies that deliver proactive customer success. And we've implemented with enough customers now and had enough feedback that we've identified 5 systems that you need in place to be able to get to productivity. I love your feedback on this. So the first is you need a system to prioritize. Which customer is more important than another customer right now and why? This customer is going to renew next month and they've got a bad health score and they're worth this much money. You need some way of prioritizing which customers to work with right now. Obviously, you need some way of organizing your work. There's lots of emails and phone calls coming in and projects to be done and QBRs to be done. So you need some system to organize that work. Really importantly, you need a system for categorizing your customers. And I think, health scores is kind of the 101 level of categorizing your customers. But we've seen a number of different strategies for categorizing customers. This is a churn risk. This is an upsell opportunity. This is a VIP account. This is an escalation. You need some automation. You need to tune your touch and automate the low touch and automate the mundane tasks. And then you need a system to provide you with information. You were talking about the reporting on engagement. So you want information to inform the CSM team, LinkedIn as a company, and your customers. You need all the systems to automate that. So those are the 5 systems that we've identified that you need to get in place to be proactive. And then our core technology, we call it intelligent agents, that help our customers really implement those systems to be proactive. And the other thing about Amity is we've recognized from the very beginning that a customer success platform needs to fit into your business, not fitting your business into the customer success platform. And so we call that being agile. And some of the vendors out there have awesome products, but they're prescriptive, and you have to do customer success their way. And we've just learned working with our customers that you need to fit the platform into the business, not the other way around. So if in the audience today, if that's interesting for you, if you'd like to talk about how to start that journey to being proactive and put those systems of being proactive in place, just go to our website and sign up for a demo, and we'll reach right out to you, and we'll start that conversation. Okay, 1 or 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap up. So the next question is, after a sale is made, how involved do you allow your sales reps to continue to be?
So we have the hunter and farmer split in terms of our sales team. So the hunters go out, sign up a customer. The transition then happens from that account executive to the relationship manager or the farmer. And then that's also where the introduction to their customer success manager is made. That handoff call, the CSM may or may not be part of that, depending on a number of different factors. But that relationship manager and the customer success manager immediately engage with that customer. But we also have a tech touch engagement at this point in time. Our onboarding now is no longer done by an actual individual, where we show the person how to use the product, this is where your mouse needs to be, click here.
Right.
It's all automated through webinars, videos, and tip sheets, as well as an automated onboarding that they receive via their email over the course of the first 45 days. So then the customer success manager is freed up to have that initial conversation to say, welcome to LinkedIn. Really happy that you're part of the family now. Let's talk about what success looks like for you in a year's time so we can build backwards.
Right, and there's a foundation of common knowledge that you can assume.
Exactly.
Okay. One last question, and then we'll wrap up. How do you approach the circumstances when a customer's expectations are not aligned with the product's capabilities? Another small question.
Yeah, another small question. I think a lot of that has to do with how much time and energy you place on educating your hunting team about the actual product. A lot of times when we receive a customer and their expectations don't match what the product does is because they weren't crystal clear on what the product is all about. So there are times where account executives will ask for additional support when they're trying to close the deal. If we have a customer that is extremely inquisitive on what the minor details of the product are, there are times where the customer success team will engage those customers in a pre-sale environment because we are also product experts, right? We need to know the product inside out. But I think really investing the time and energy in the sales leadership to make them understand that salespeople should be product experts as well, as much as they need to be, is really where you can avoid a lot of those things.
Right.
But when you do encounter that, again, I think it's just a lot of times it's listening to the customer, acknowledging that the product isn't where it needs to be from their expectations, and then start to reset expectations. We can't redevelop the product for you right now, so let's figure out how we can make best use of what we have right now and put things on the roadmap to help get it to where you think it should be.
Great. Okay, that's all our time for today. Thanks everyone for coming out. I'd really like to thank Perry. That was awesome content, and I could have kept going for another 2 hours with all these questions. There's, we're leaving them wanting more, which is what P.T. Barnum said is the good show. So that's awesome. And just to let everyone know, our next webinar is going to be on June 15th, and it's a how-to guide for proactive customer success. And I'll be leading that webinar, and we'll be talking about those 5 strategies for achieving customer success. So, everyone in Europe, we heard your feedback, and so we're going to have one version of the webinar at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, which is in the middle of the day in London and Paris and Kiev and Odessa. And thanks everyone for coming out. And if you have any feedback for us, if there's any webinar topics you'd like us to cover, drop us a line. And thanks for coming out today, and we'll talk to you on June 15th.